Hey everyone, Andrew Morrison here. I'm also known as Andrew the Astrologer. Welcome to my YouTube channel. If you are brand new to me and my channel, don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell, and the like button below. Before we get into today's main content, I just want to say that I do have a few spots available if you are really needing a deeper analysis and greater understanding on what's truly going on in your personal reality. I'd love to work with you and sit down with you with a one-on-one astrological chart reading and consultation. And the best way to schedule that astrology reading and appointment with me is to send me an email, which is always posted down in the description down below. In other exciting news, I'm happy to announce this, that I will be launching a brand new astrologer certification program. So if you are thinking of changing your career, if you are interested in learning astrology and not just learning it, but actually I help give you the whole roadmap on how to actually turn this into a whole career essentially. So it's basically a business in a box. And, astrology, believe it or not, even though it's a very unconventional career path, there's a lot of money to be made in this. And so I help really give you the whole tools that you need to turn this into a career and make it a very profitable career as well. So if this does seem of interest to you, just let me know in the comment section down below. Otherwise, just make sure to subscribe to my channel and stay up to date for future updates when I actually push out this astrologer certification program. It's going to be a lot of fun. So let's just jump right into today's video. So in today's video, this is part 1, and I will be discussing the first 4 houses in astrology, and there's 12 of them. Just as a little side note here. So the first house, it's very easy to understand. It's one of the easiest houses in astrology to understand. So the first house is all to do with you. It's the relationship that you have with yourself, for better or for worse. The first house, it deals a lot to do with health and wellness. It deals a lot to do with your physical body and your physical constitution. And the first house also, with that said, deals a lot to do with our personality, our demeanor, and also, how other people outside of us externally here on planet Earth, how other people perceive us as well as far as personality goes. Now, there is a side to astrology that does deal with health and the medical side of things. And so the first house, we come into this world here on planet Earth head first. And so on that note, the first house does deal a lot to do with the head and the brain. So a lot of times people that have issues connected to the first house, this can manifest as either as, headaches, migraines, possibly traumatic brain injuries, concussions, things of that nature. Again, even though I actually did go to medical school, a lot of people don't know that. I'm not licensed, and so this isn't medical advice or anything. I'm just explaining here that there's different body parts associated to all the different houses. So as you can see, the first house is pretty easy to understand, very straightforward. It's all about you. Now the second house, moving on to the second house, I consider the second house the area of life connected to our immediate personal security. So after we are born, we are therefore introduced to our immediate family, our parents, and sometimes not all, but a lot of times we do end up having brothers and sisters. So the second house deals a lot to do with our immediate family. And so therefore that deals a lot to do with security. Now, speaking of security, this is why I also connect the second house to immediate security, because the second house has a lot to do with money and finances, specifically our personal finances and the ways that we earn a living, the ways that we collect a paycheck, whether that's on a weekly basis or otherwise. The second house has a lot to do with our work and our work habits, our work patterns, and again, how we bring in income specifically. Now, moving on to kind of the health side of astrology, the second house is connected a lot to do with our mouth and our lips. So what goes into the mouth, so therefore food and beverages and drinks, and then what goes out of our mouth, which is speech and things of that sort. And so a lot of times people that have, a complicated second house can oftentimes, be born in very dysfunctional families. I see it all the time. A lot of times people that have a very difficult second house, sometimes the way that they earn a living may be indeed, criminal activities. So that's just a very general perspective and understanding of the second house. Also pretty straightforward. Now the third house, I consider it the secondary house when it comes to creativity. So the third house has a lot to do with the ways that we express ourselves and the ways that we communicate ourselves. So again, I consider it the secondary house for creativity and artistry, and this will make more sense as I'm going through the houses. The third house has a lot to do with motivation and courage that many other astrologies connect the third house to as well. But again, primarily the third house has a lot to do with the ways that we express and communicate to other people, because the third house is connected to Gemini, and Gemini is an air sign, and typically air deals a lot to do with the ways that we connect and we relate to other human beings. So that's why the third house has a lot to do with the ways that we express ourselves. The third house also has a side to it that deals a lot to do with siblings, brothers and sisters, but specifically the third house is connected to more so younger siblings, younger brothers and sisters. And connecting to the body parts for the third house has a lot to do with the arms and the hands, because many times people, not all, but many times people that when they communicate with other people and they express themselves, I should say, they use a lot of hand gestures, and sometimes they use, the upper extremities. So again, third house is pretty easy to understand as well. Now, moving on to the fourth house, I consider the fourth house, and what I label it as, it's the area of shelter. And so the fourth house has a lot to do with not just our home life and domestic life, but it can also deal with our personal and private property. So property isn't just real estate. Yes, that's pretty much what people consider property as, but property, believe it or not, also is connected to cars, vehicles, possibly motorcycles, etc., because those are also, cars and vehicles especially, can also be another form of shelter, especially if you are possibly, some people in this world, they live out of their cars, believe it or not. So the fourth house it also has a side to it that does deal a lot to do with personal security, but very much separate and different from the second house, where the second house deals more with financial security. The fourth house deals a lot to do with more so emotional security. So that is why the fourth house is very much deeply connected to the mother and the relationship with the mother as well. Many times people that have a very difficult or afflicted fourth house, again, they can grow up in very dysfunctional home lives. They can have very dysfunctional families, possibly even abuse. And a lot of times people that have dysfunctional families or problems with their domestic home life, that is also, a lot of times there's a strong connection to, things like homelessness and just a lot of inconsistencies around home life and, shelter, just to name a few examples here. As far as body parts goes, many astrologers connect the fourth house to the chest area and oftentimes the heart as well. And so I hope you found this video, which I'm talking and explaining the first 4 houses in astrology, I hope you found this very helpful. Let me know in the comment section down below, and make sure to stay tuned to my upcoming future videos, as well as the other parts to this series, all to do with astrology houses. Thank you.